What's up, guys? My name is Damien.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Alex.
We are Our Mind Center. We make short films and we review plenty of movies, and we're going to do it again today. Tonight we went to go see Murder on the Orient Express. Alex, what's this one about?
So Murder on the Orient Express is about a famed detective by the name of Hercule Hercules Poirot. And on this one, he is on a train by no means to investigate a murder, but one happens and he's stuck in the middle of it.
Yeah, this is a classic whodunit movie. Just like back in the day, Clue or any of those movies. And it's cool because this movie feels classic. The way that it's shot, the way that it's acted, it feels like you're watching a play or something like that. And it's a fun watch, and we can get further into the nitty-gritties. But as far as like my first thoughts generally is that it's a pretty damn good movie.
Very good, especially for a detective movie, because in my experiences, I've not been a big fan of them.
Yeah.
They're just kind of the same, all of them, and so they're just not my thing. But this movie did an amazing job.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back on what Damien was saying about this feeling kind of like older, because there are points in this where you just feel like you're watching like a classic Alfred Hitchcock or something like that. There's just shots that take you back and make you feel all... It just made me feel good inside.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing that's going for this movie is like just how it's crafted in general. And the main actor who Alex tried to say, we are not French, so it's very difficult for us to do, but he is played by Kenneth Branagh, and it's also directed by Kenneth Branagh, and it's incredible, and he steals the show. There's plenty of actors in this movie that you could just name drop and have an entire list and be like, oh, but they're in it and they're in it, and even still, Kenneth Branagh steals this movie, for me, 100%. And the way that it's directed, there's some awesome shots in here that do feel classic, but also feel new and fresh. And I mean, it's really hard for me to go too much into this movie, because with a detective movie, there's a lot of spoilers, stuff you can't really talk about, and you don't want to even allude to what certain characters could or couldn't be. But what I will say is, whenever you go see a detective movie, the payoff at the end is what you're there for. You start your journey, and the ending needs to pay off. And this one had a fresh little take on it, and I was pleasantly surprised. And I think all around, this is just a well-made detective movie with a classic feel to it.
Well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So to go deeper into the acting, the thing that is just crazy to me, and it is always crazy to me, is the accents. And there are so many different accents in this movie. You can't keep up with who's from where, or what even accent they're doing, because they're all just meshed together. And they all did an incredible job.
When you know you're going into a detective film, you're trying to pick apart every single little thing that they put together for you so that you can like figure out who it is before they tell you. And the shot that they had when he's initially investigating the crime scene made me feel like I was investigating the crime scene. Yeah. The directing on this is probably my favorite part of it, because randomly you'll get hit with these stylistic choices for shots that I was like,
It doesn't come across as like, oh, that's a cool shot.
Yeah.
It like not takes you out of the movie, but it just makes you realize, oh my god, this shot is directly above them, and it's been like that for 5 minutes, and I haven't even batted an eye at it, and it's just because it's really, really awesome.
Attention everybody, I'd like to propose a toast to continuity errors.
As far as negatives go, or like why my review for this movie won't be perfect, or my rating, is it's tough because it's less about what the movie did wrong, and it's just me personally, and how I feel about how the movie gave it to me. Because I don't think there's really anything like plot-wise that I would pick out about this movie, or even the acting or anything like that. I think this is more of just a type of movie that, with me watching it, my rating is purely based on how I leave the movie theater with a movie like this. Rather than me picking something out as like, this is why my rating is low, it's more like, I don't know, I left the movie a certain way, so that's how my rating is going to be. And it's not a bad thing. It really isn't. Because there is hope out there that somebody else would like it. Because usually if you pick something out, you kind of eliminate half of the people that would also hate that type of thing, or a reason that movie is bad. But by no means, when I give my rating, should anybody watching this be like, I don't know then, because you might adore this movie. And I do. There are parts of this movie where the dialogue is really witty and cool, and there's a couple monologues that I'm like, I'm probably going to look that one up later whenever I want to, when I'm hanging out with Alex and Kyle and I just want to say a line, I'll say a line from the movie. But I don't know. It's a weird thing.
I think, in my mind, one of the biggest drawbacks of this film is getting into it initially, because I think it's really hard for some people that may not watch a lot of slower films or detective films in general to sit down and watch the entirety of this film, because it is a lot. And the ending ties it up in a bow, and by far was my favorite part, because it was just it was an incredible ending to the film. But the whole beginning part of it is fairly, it's a lot to take in, and it's a lot of film for the story that they're putting.
And the ending is where the main actor, I don't know his name.
Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
He really shines there at the end.
Yeah.
It's a good performance.
It'll get you.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna put a number of approval on this film.
Birthday, 2-3, driver's license, social security number, everything. I was born at 11:12 p.m. 11 plus 12. It's like it's imitating my life.
It was a nice change of pace, and it's really cool to see a movie directed nowadays have that classic feel of a Hitchcock or something like that, because it takes you back in setting in the movie and in just the directing in general. I think this movie is crafted beautifully by Kenneth Branagh, and it's acted incredibly by Daisy Ridley, Judi Dench, Johnny Depp. Everybody is incredible, but Kenneth Branagh steals the show in both directing and acting, and I have to give him all the props in the world. And as far as negatives, it's just based on how I feel leaving the movie, and I think I sit at a really good 7. 7 toy train sets out of 10. It's a well made movie.
Everything just went really well for me in this movie. And the only negative, which isn't a negative at all, because it's not the movie's fault, it's not anyone's fault, but that Johnny Depp is not in the movie for more than he is. But obviously that's not a critique. But I will rate this movie a 6.5 cakes out of 10.
Cakes.
It was hard for me to get into this movie at the beginning of it. Sitting down, I think I probably wasn't just in the mood for this type of detective film, or just really a detective film in general. And so that being my biggest drawback of it, I still, in the end, had an insane amount of fun watching this entire movie be tied up in a little bow. And so, and the acting was great. My favorite part of it as an entirety was the directing. I love the way that all of the shots kind of play together, and some of the things that they did to just make it feel like a Hitchcock or some of the older films. That it just felt really good, and I'm gonna give it a 7 as well. I'm gonna give it 7 Christmas bells.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I could say polar bears.
Out of 10.
Out of 10. I'm never gonna say it.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I think this movie is a perfect example of how I think most of the draw is going to come from people saying, oh, Johnny Depp's in that movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see that. Oh, Daisy Ridley's in that movie. I'm going to go see that. And what I will say is that's a good reason. That's a good reason to go see this movie, because I think every actor, for however long they're in this movie, they get a performance that I know they are happy with, and that I am too. So go see this movie, guys. I think across the board, this is a recommendation from the OMC team. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And so you do not forget, my name is Damien.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Alex.
And until next time.
So, William.
His alien looking ass. Yeah, but I'm gonna call him Roy.
Should we just put the Snapchat in the thing?